Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of True Crime Tuesday here on Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis, and seated with me and reunited once again across the board from me is Katie Hart. Good evening, Katie.
What's up, T-Dizzle?
T-Dizzle.
T-Dizzle and KTZ.
KTZ. It's been a while since...
the comedy team.
Since I've been called that.
I'll always remember us as T-Dizzle and KTZ.
Yeah, exactly.
And J-Free.
And J-Free. The missing part of that trio.
That's right.
We've got a busy show tonight, folks, and we're going to actually start off on a little bit of a somber note tonight. If you've been following Dave on social media, you've been aware of this actually for a couple of hours. And we just want to make our listeners aware that a couple of hours ago, Dave's mom, Terry, did sadly pass away. At 7:12 tonight, Terry succumbed to cancer. And she was surrounded by Dave and Dave's, most of Dave's children, and Dave's dad, Jimmy. And I guess I'm trying not to choke up, folks. I'll let you know that because Terry was very special to me as well. It's hard to know somebody for 28 years and know Terry as well, as she was everything you see about Dave on the air, his humor, his kindness, his generosity, his sense of community, his love for you people. I say that with disdain. I know you people. Everything that he brings to the table, he gets from Mom. He gets that from her. And Terry was a dedicated nurse, Shriners Hospital. She brought that love, that caring to her career. She brought that to her everyday life. It's amazing. I've told this story on social media. I'll tell it on the air. The first time that Dave was great about bringing home his friends and his stragglers in his life, just kind of on the doorstep, like, hey, Mom, here's another one of my friends. And when he brought me home to Chicago from college, this was 28 years ago, Katie. I know I'm ancient. I had the weirdest hairstyle, I think, that you could possibly have at that time in 1988.
Was it feathered?
It was spiked, and it was a mullet, and it was long and curly in the back. It was spiked in the front, long and curly in the back.
Wow.
And when he introduced me to his mom, I got this look. It wasn't fright.
I'm imagining this as you're telling this tale.
Because Terry was a very brave woman, and she had seen it all. But she just gave me this look, kind of like, what the hell are you kind of look. And I got to believe it was restraint, because there was going to be a laugh there, because I had these big brown glasses, too, these very large eyeglasses. It was probably restraint from laughter and kind of a what the hell are you kind of look. But in that, there was a lot of love there, too, and it was an acceptance. And she was so kind that entire weekend, and joked around, and a lot of self-deprecating humor there, too. And Jimmy, his dad, was so warm and open, and we had a great time. We went to the car show at McCormick Place that weekend, and it was a great weekend, and the two of them couldn't have been more warm and loving, and I came away from that thinking, God, what great parents, And as I got to know Terry over the years, for 28 years, I thought, wow, she's just such a wonderful woman, and I can see as I looked on social media this week, and I saw patients and people she had worked with who talked about how great she was, not only to work with or how she would inspire them. I get it, because there were times where I was down on, I just not feeling well, or just kind of down and where I was. And immediately it was that tough love. She'd just come in there and well, what are you moping for? And she'd get right underneath me, and be uplifting. And I know it, Dave online earlier this week called her an angel on earth. And I truly believe that. I truly believe she was an angel here on earth. And she was here to help others, to to get them to where they needed to be. And I truly believe that tonight she's taken her rightful place in heaven. That she's finally gotten that rest that she deserves, and she's completed her mission here on earth. That she's helped those people that she needed to help. She was Dave's biggest supporter, his cheerleader, his inspiration. She was my inspiration too. She really inspired me to kick life in the butt when I felt like I couldn't. And God bless you, Terry. You're going to be missed more than you ever know. And thank you for being there and supporting us and keeping us going. You have no idea how much we love and appreciate you, and we'll keep going in your spirit. We really will. Our guest tonight, and we won't take any more time away from him, is J.T. Hunter, and let's get to him right now. J.T. Hunter is with us. He is an attorney with over 14 years of experience practicing law, including criminal law and appeals. He has significant training in criminal investigation techniques. He is also a college professor in Florida, where his teaching interests focus on the intersection of criminal psychology, law, and literature. Tonight, we're going to talk about the true story of the Walker family murder and how it ties into Truman Capote's classic novel, In Cold Blood. Let's welcome to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show and True Crime Tuesday, J.T. Hunter. Good evening, J.T. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Although I'm a little bummed out now. I hadn't been on Facebook recently, so I hadn't heard about Dave's mom.
It's pretty fresh news, but yeah, it's sad, but it's one of those things we know that Terry would want us to keep forging on and keep going with a fresh show. She always, I tell you, every night listened to the show and even kept archives of the show. She
Oh wow.
Yeah. She was amazing, an amazing woman. And loved True Crime Tuesday as well. She was a huge fan of true crime, huge fan of the paranormal. With this story, the Walker family now, there's the family that was memorialized in Truman Capote's classic novel, In Cold Blood. There's another one that was forgotten. It was this family, the Walker family, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is a family of four, similar in a lot of ways to the family of four that was, as you said, memorialized in Cold Blood, Truman Capote's novel. Two different families, obviously two different states, but the Walker family didn't receive nearly as much attention as the Clutter family murder, as you could imagine.
Now, give us a little bit of background, but we're going to take our first break here in a few minutes. But give us a little bit of background on the Walker family. Who were they, and what were they like?
The Walker, it was a young family of four. Cliff Walker was the husband and father. He was in his mid-20s, about 25. Christine Walker was his wife. She was about a year younger than him. And they had two young kids, very young kids. Jimmy was a 3-year-old boy, and Debbie, the daughter, was just under 2 years old. And they lived in Florida in a very small rural area called Osprey, Florida, near Sarasota, near the Sarasota area. And Cliff worked as a ranch hand on a large ranch there in the area. And the four of them lived together in a house there on the ranch property.
Very interesting.
Cliff and Christine were high school sweethearts. Essentially, they had met in high school and got married shortly thereafter and started their family there.
So they're essentially set up and they're starting their family. It's I don't want to say the American dream, but they're getting things underway and getting established. And then you've got I tell you what, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about Dick Hickok and Perry Smith and how it is that they intersect with the Walker family, or how it is that it's believed that they've intersected with the Walker family. In Colder Blood is the name of the book. It's available on Amazon.com. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Amazon.com. Look for it. In Colder Blood. The author is J.T. Hunter. When we come back, we'll talk about how Dick Hickok and Perry Smith meet up with the Walker family and how this tragedy befalls that family. We'll talk about that next here on True Crime Tuesday on Darkness Radio. Now, before the break, JT, we were talking a little bit about the Walker family, how they had established their residence, and we were talking about the perpetrators of this crime. Of course, Truman Capote is famous for In Cold Blood, the book. Of course, people have seen the movie In Cold Blood, and the villains of our story, I guess, for lack of a better term, Dick Hickok and Perry Smith. Some people are familiar with them, some people are not. Why don't you give us a little bit of a background of both Dick Hickok and Perry Smith?
Okay, well, Hickok and Smith, as you said, yeah, they were made famous by Capote's In Cold Blood for killing the Clutter family in Holcomb, Kansas. And Hickok and Smith had met while incarcerated in Kansas. Hickok had basically recruited Smith to help him rob a farmhouse in Kansas that he'd heard about. He thought that there was going to be a safe there with money stashed in it, and so he recruited Perry Smith to help him out with this. And the two of them, after they were released, got back together and made their way to the Clutter farmhouse there in Holcomb, and ended up breaking into the house there and holding the family captive there for a while, and eventually killed all four of them, the mother and the father and the son and the daughter. Brutally murdered them in cold blood, hence the name of the 1965 novel that Capote wrote.
Now, in that, and again, a terrible murder, and made famous, as you said, by the book and the movie. How do they come across the Walker family, and what ties them to the Walker family? Those coincidences.
Well, the ultimate thing that ties them to the Walker family is a car, a vehicle. This is the theory put forth by a cold case detective that worked the Walker case. The Walker family was murdered on December 19th, 1959, a little over a month after the Clutter family was murdered. And it was known that on the day of the Walker's murder that they were car shopping. They were looking for a new car. They had made their way to Sarasota that day and had visited a number of car dealerships and used car lots looking at various cars. And one of the cars that Cliff apparently was really interested in was a 1956 Chevy two-tone in color. And as it turned out, when Hickok and Smith made their way to Florida, they were driving a 1956 Chevy Bel Air two-tone in color. So Hickok and Smith were driving the same make and model vehicle that Cliff Walker was purportedly eyeballing when he was in Sarasota looking at cars. So the theory is that in Sarasota, while they were car shopping that day, the Walkers either directly encountered Hickok and Smith, who then learned of their interest in that type of car, or Hickok and Smith showed up at one of the car lots or dealerships that the Walkers had been at earlier that day and learned that they were looking for that car. Hickok and Smith had both had backgrounds in automobile work and painting, and they were known to frequent car dealerships and things of that nature. So it would not be too unreasonable to think that they would know how to talk to the salesman and whatnot, and could have learned from them that there was a family in here just a little while ago looking for the very type of car that you're driving. Mm-hmm. And somehow or another they were able to find that out. And they were in need of cash. They were on the run from the law. They were fugitives from the law, so they probably decided that they were going to try to either sell and or trade their car to the Walker family. And the Clutter family murder happened on November 15th in Kansas, and Hickok and Smith traveled around quite a bit after that. They went to Mexico for a little while, came back in the U.S., and then stole the Chevy Bel Air in one of the states they were in, and then ended up driving down to Florida. They entered the Florida Panhandle on December 16th, and then made their way south and checked into a hotel in Miami on the 18th, which is mentioned a little bit in Capote's book, In Cold Blood, that they were down in this Miami hotel. And investigators with the Sarasota Sheriff's Office, in investigating the case, they discovered that Hickok and Smith had actually checked out of that Miami hotel the very next morning, the 19th. They had paid for about a week in advance when they checked in on the 18th, but on the very next morning they asked for a refund of it, and were never seen after that. But they were spotted in Sarasota later that day on the 19th, which is, of course, the very day that the Walker family was car shopping in Sarasota. And then, of course, the Walker family was killed later that night in Osprey.
Okay. I tell you what, let's stop with the story there. When we come back, let's talk a little bit, JT, about whether anyone had seen the two of them together, and we'll go into that story and other coincidences or other things that might have been reported that would have put the two of them together to link the family and Hickok and Smith together. Before we take our break, Katie, guess what? IWI is back in town at the Mounds Theater.
What?
On Saturday. That's right. IWI has a huge card coming up on Saturday. It's called Hollywood Forever. It's Hollywood Brian Sager's very last match.
Wow.
He's retiring. He is our U.S. champion. He'll be defending his title against his very best friend and tag team partner. I happen to put him in that situation.
What?
Well, I got to make it tough for him on his way out.
Holy cow, Tim.
I know.
Jeez.
I'm not too fond of the guy. There's that. Also, the tag team championships will be defended, and the world title will be defended as well at IWI. Also, the IWI Hall of Fame induction ceremony will take place. IWI Hall of Famer Nick Mason will be hosting that as well. It's going to be a full evening. You can get your tickets at moundstheater.org. Discount admission tickets and VIP tickets are available as well. 6:45 is when doors open. 7:30 is the start time over there at the Mounds Theater. Moundstheater.org. Don't forget to get your tickets right away, right now. Moundstheater.org. When we come back, more with JT Hunter. Check out his website right now, Parker Publishing, rjparkerpublishing.com, or get the book at amazon.com, In Colder Blood. We'll talk more about the Walker family murders and Dick Hickok and Perry Smith after this on True Crime Tuesday on Com. JT, before the break, we were talking about Dick Hickok, Perry Smith, and some of the things that connect them to the Walker family murder. You were talking about the fact that they were in the same general vicinity, and that you were talking about car shopping and the fact that they were looking maybe to get some money because they had been to Mexico and back. That they had maybe spent some of that cash or were running low on funds since the previous murder that they had committed. What other things have they had that cold case investigator come up with to essentially say, this is what we can solidify those ties with? This is what really we can tie the two together with.
Well, we have the witness sightings of Hickok and Smith, as you said, in the area leading up to the date of the murder, and we have the fact that we know the car they were driving was the same exact car that Cliff Walker was interested in acquiring that day. And then there's a lot of other things, actually. There's so many similarities between them, but the day after the murder, a number of multiple witnesses, reported seeing two men whose descriptions very closely match, almost uncannily match, Hickok and Smith's description in the Arcadia area. And what's really eye-opening about these witness sightings the day after the murder is that the description of the taller of the two men, which would have been Dick Hickok, he was described as having a badly scratched up face with all kinds of cuts and bruises on his forehead, described as round bruises about the size of a dime. And in reconstructing the murder, the investigators determined that Christine Walker had put up a very, very strong fight, trying to fight off her attackers. It was determined that she was raped during the course of the attacks, and she put up a strong fight against them using her shoes, her high-heeled shoes. They found both her shoes at the murder scene. Both of them had blood on them, and there was a lot of evidence that she had fought off or tried to fight off her attacker. And of course, the high-heeled shoes would match up with the round bruises on the forehead of the person cited all around the area the next day, whose description, as I said, was extremely close to Dick Hickok's description. So we have all these sightings both before the day of the murder, on the day of the murder, and the day after the murder, all tying Hickok and Smith to being in the area, including one of the witnesses who saw these men the day after gave a partial license plate number, which included a number 16, which matched the number of the car that Hickok and Smith were known to be driving. So all this certainly points to them. But there was also a lot of other similarities between the two. As far as, both the families were murdered on a Saturday night in their own homes. Both were quadruple murders of father, mother, son, and daughter. The murders occurred in similar order as far as who was killed when during the course of the murders. Very, very similar between the two murders. No witnesses left alive at either crime scene. Both crimes were committed in an isolated rural setting, on a farm or a ranch.
Mm-hmm.
All the family members were shot in the head in both of the murders. All male members of both families were shot in the face. All female members of both families were shot in similar areas in their heads. There's evidence of the adult women being raped at both scenes. There was hair and head tissue fragments on the walls from the murdered female victims in both cases. And I believe even Capote included in his novel In Cold Blood that Hickok had told Smith prior to the Clutter murder that he wanted to see hair on the walls, meaning, he didn't want to leave any witnesses behind. He wanted to have everyone shot inside the house. Boot prints were found at both crime scenes with similar designs left in the boot prints. The same sort of instance as far as what was taken from the homes, just, petty cash and miscellaneous low-value items were taken from both of them. Jewelry was not taken at either crime scene. Hickok was known to be a chain smoker, and there was a cellophane wrapper for cigarettes left at the Walker family murder site that didn't match the cigarettes that Cliff Walker was known to smoke. Just all sorts of similarities, and maybe a few of them separately. You might say, okay, well, that's interesting, but just taken all together and all the witness sightings and just everything, it really points strongly to these two having committed this crime. And the other interesting thing too was that Perry Smith followed the news on the radio and also in newspapers about both of the crimes, the Clutter crime and the Walker murder too. And one of the peculiar things that they found at the Clutter family murder was what they called kind of these undoing acts by the killer.
Okay.
By Perry Smith, where he kind of pulled the quilt over the bloody pillow on the boy's bed and covered the girl's head before shooting her at the Walker murder. And he did very similar things, admitted to doing very similar things for the Clutter family murder, such as, kind of basically tucking the girl in her bed and placing a pillow under the boy's head before killing him. So just this odd kind of psychological undoing that the killer did in conjunction with the acts themselves. It was present in both cases, too. So there's just all sorts of things pointing to Hickok and Smith as having been involved in both the killings.
Very interesting indeed. You know what? Let's dip out. Let's take our last break of the hour. When we come back, if there's so much that lines up between the two families, then how come they didn't cop to the second murder? We'll talk to J.T. Hunter about that when we come back on True Crime Tuesday here on Darkness Radio. You can also check out his publisher page, rjparkerpublishing.com. JT, you know what? Katie brought up a great point during the break, and that is how widely known was the first killing, and could this have been a copycat killing and not just a serial killing or a pattern, if you will?
Well, I mean, the Clutter family murder was reported widely. Capote learned about it by reading about a story on it in the New York Times, I believe, and that's what interested him in the case. But it's interesting that you mentioned, well, could it have been a copycat? Because the way Capote described the scene when Smith was reading about the Walker case, Capote had placed Hickok and Smith in this Miami motel, and on Christmas Day, he wrote the story that on Christmas Day, Perry Smith was reading the Miami Herald newspaper and saw a story about the Walker case, and basically said something like, "Wow, that's really amazing. It must have been some sort of nut job had read about the Clutter family killing that we did and then went out and decided to be a copycat." So it's something that Capote placed there in his book as a possibility for the crime. But when you look at so many inaccuracies in Cold Blood, not just about this case, but other things as well that have come out, it really should cause you to pause and really question, well, how accurate is that part of the story that he has there?
And understanding that there are so many similarities in between the two, between the Clutter family and the Walker family, you would, as an investigator, as even a cold case investigator, you would say, well, there would have to be a tie between the two, that if the motive is similar, that if the way it's executed is similar, well, then obviously the perpetrator has to be the same, even without the benefit of DNA science back then. You would have to assume that if the way it's carried out is forensic science being as brutal as it was back then, you would have to assume that if it was carried out in a similar fashion, that it would have to be similar. So where does I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. Where does the police department fail the Walker family here? Why do Hickok and Smith not cop to this murder?
Well, I mean, it would be pretty speculative to try to say, well, why didn't they admit to doing it? I mean, who knows why they didn't want to do it? Maybe they didn't want to have to go through another trial, or maybe they didn't want to have to face the prospect of being taken down to Florida to face a trial or whatnot. But there's reason to believe that maybe Capote himself had a reason for not disclosing their involvement, or even the possibility of their involvement in this case, and maybe he purposely downplayed it the way he did. He was working for years and writing in cold blood, and biographies of him report that he was really wanting to get the thing done. He was getting real exasperated and desperate to finish it, but he needed a proper ending for the story, and for him, the proper ending of the story was the execution of Hickok and Smith. So if he had gone out and said, well, wait a minute, maybe they really did have something to do with this other case down in Florida, that would have put everything on hold, all the proceedings on hold. It would have taken a lot longer for his book to be finished, because the Hickok and Smith's execution would have been put on hold while they were looking into this other crime. So he certainly had grounds to not want to implicate them in the Walker murder, and the lengthy delay that would come along with that, and in turn delay the writing and conclusion of his story. So there's certainly that potential motivation there.
Would there?
The one thing you got to keep in mind too is, you alluded to it a little bit, is that at the time this happened, the police investigative techniques weren't nearly as refined and accurate as they are nowadays. And in this particular Walker case, it was even worse than normal back then, because the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office at the time didn't have a lot of resources for crime scene investigation, and there were a lot of things that were done even at the time that were questionable. So there were a lot of problems with the case from the get-go, which certainly contributed to the case being unsolved for decades and decades and decades. And really, the focus, really, the spotlight really came on Hickok and Smith heavily when a new detective took over the case in 2007, and she came up with this whole theory. The one thing that she really kept coming back to was this car, the Chevy Bel Air, the '56 Chevy Bel Air. That's really what she kept coming back to as the linkage between the two of them, and then came up with this whole theory about how the crime came to be committed by Hickok and Smith. And this detective went to great effort to prove this theory, including getting the bodies of Hickok and Smith exhumed in 2012 to try to get DNA samples to positively link them to the Walker murder.
And did she prove that?
Well, as you can imagine, the bodies having been in the ground there for 50 years, that it was difficult to get good samples. So, they were able to get a partial sample on one of the two, on Smith, and his DNA didn't match the suspect profile that they had recovered from the Walker crime scene, which basically was traces of semen left in Christine Walker's underwear. But of course, Hickok was the one that was known to have the propensity for rape, and certainly if he followed his typical pattern and practice, he would have been the one that would have most likely have raped Christine. And again, the taller one was the one with the scratches and the dime-sized bruises on his face and all that, which of course would point to Hickok as well. So they weren't able to get a DNA profile from Hickok's remains. And of course, in the other thing I should mention too is during the course of doing this DNA testing, it was determined that the actual sample they had obtained from the Walker murder site so many decades before, and that they thought came from the suspect, actually turned out that it wasn't from the suspect at all. It was from one of the members of the Walker family. So there were a lot of problems with the case, and trying to tie it even with the DNA technology we have nowadays was tough going, and from the get-go as well.
Sounds like it was troublesome at best. With just about a minute left here, JT, did the Sarasota County, did they have a suspect in mind even before Hickok and Smith that they thought was solid, or was it really just kind of a crapshoot?
Yeah, it was. They had literally hundreds of suspects over the years, and some of them were looked at more closely than others. There was a handful of them that they really looked at really closely, including a member of the Walker family. But in more recent years, several of those people were exonerated via DNA testing. So their main suspects that they had been looking at, most all of them were exonerated through DNA.
All right. Again, JT Hunter has been our guest. The book is In Colder Blood. It's available right now on Amazon.com. Check them out on rjparkerpublishing.com as well as publisher page. JT, thanks for being with us again tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. I enjoyed it. It's always fun coming on the show.
All right, and we look forward to you joining us as well in the future. Appreciate it.
I look forward to it. Take care, guys.
Take care. Next hour, Sam Baltrusis joins us. 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston. We'll talk a little paranormal in there as well. That'll be coming up. I know. That'll be coming up next hour right here on True Crime Tuesday on Darkness Radio. Reminder that come back to hour 2 of True Crime Tuesday here on Darkness Radio. Tim Dennis and Katie Hart with you tonight. A couple of reminders before we launch into hour 2 here with our guest Sam Baltrusis and 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston. A reminder that coming up February 24th through the 26th of next year, Darkness Events takes you back to the Palmer House Hotel.
Nice.
For another Darkness event there. Myself, Dave, Bill Chappell. A whole new weekend of fully immersive activities, workshops. Ghosty adventures. I can't wait to see what Bill has in store for that weekend.
Always has fun gadgets.
He's been working on some stuff, I tell you. The Tony Stark of the paranormal. He is something else, and he's got some interesting stuff to unveil there. All new workshops, all new gadgets, and you can get in on it by going to darknessevents.com. Click on the banner that's there with all 3 of our mugs up there, and you can get your ticket right now. Tickets are going fast. Limited spots are available. Michael and Marty Perry will be there as well. Their gallery session is separate from the event, but you can purchase a ticket for their gallery as well. It's going to be a great weekend, folks. February 24th to the 26th. Get your tickets right now for that Darkness event. Right now.
Right now.
Right now. Drop what you're doing. Right now. They're going quick. Darknessevents.com. Also, this weekend, if you want to see myself, IWI, it's called Hollywood Forever. It's family-friendly wrestling out there at the Haunted Historic Mounds Theater. You can get your tickets at moundstheater.org. All 3 titles are on the line. It is Hollywood Brian Sager's last match ever. He is our United States champion. He is retiring after this weekend. And boy, am I setting up a match for him. He's got to face his best friend and tag team partner and defend that United States championship.
You're so evil.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of fun to watch you work.
I pride myself on that.
Like in your lair.
Yep. My bald head, rubbing my hands together. Well, I take after our new president, petting my cat, just grabbing a handful. And then, so he's got to defend his United States championship. Also, the heavyweight championship and the tag team championships will be on the line. The IWI Hall of Fame induction will be induction ceremony will be taking place as well. IWI Hall of Famer Nick Mason will be hosting that. It's all going on this Saturday night. 6:45 is when doors open. 7:30 is bell time at the Haunted Historic Mounds Theater. You can get your tickets by going to moundstheater.org. Discounted general admission tickets and VIP tickets are available at moundstheater.org, and we hope to see you there. Let's jump into our second hour here. We have an exciting guest with us. It is Sam Baltrusis. Sam is the author of Ghosts of Boston and Ghosts of Salem. He freelances for various publications and teaches journalism at Malden Access TV. He has been featured as Boston's paranormal expert on the Biography Channel's Haunted Encounters in Paranormal States, Ryan Buell's Paranormal Insider Radio. Baltrusis moonlights as a tour guide and launched the successful Ghost Tour Boston Haunts and
Ooh, I've done that one.
Have you?
I've
You've done that?
Yep.
Well,
I have.
then we have some stuff to talk about here, Katie. Annie has several books coming out in 2016, including Haunted Boston Harbor and Paranormal Provincetown. His new book is 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston. And tonight we'll be talking about the different crime scenes beyond Boston, including Lizzie Borden and Fall River and many others, many bone-chilling haunts. Let's bring to True Crime Tuesday on Darkness Radio. And back to the program, Sam Baltrusis. Hi, Sam. How you doing tonight?
Hey, how's it going, Sam?
Going good. Let me ask you, I mean, you're immersed in Boston history, but why crime scenes? What is it about the crime scene side of Boston that brought you to write this book?
Well, I was trying to find a natural segue from writing 7 historical-based ghost books, and my background is in journalism, so I was trying to find a way to kind of get into the true crime genre, because I've done a lot of investigative journalism in my past, and I thought that having sort of like combining the two, paranormal with crime scenes, was the way to go. So that was my motivation. Currently working on a couple of true crime books, but I'm finding that it's really hard for me not to kind of put my paranormal touch to it. So we'll see how it goes. The books I'm working on now, there definitely is an element of paranormal related to the true crime.
It is hard to separate it, isn't it? And I think that's originally when we started True Crime Tuesday here on Darkness Radio, the idea was to throw a paranormal slant behind it. But then you kind of get taken down a road. I know we got taken down a serial killer road for a while, but the idea was to kind of combine it with the paranormal a bit, and it's not hard to do, is it?
It's really not. Even when I try not to and trying to like put on my objective journalism lenses on, it's really hard not to think about the paranormal potential to a story. So yeah, it's been. I think I'm actually, to be honest with you, I was working on a book called Murder and Mayhem in Salem, which was due in 2017. But I think I'm going to kind of tweak it a little bit and add a paranormal backstory to it.
Now, is it my imagination or just in flyover country do we hear tales and myths? But is there something about Boston in particular that makes me think that there's a bit of a tinge of violence to the area?
That's really interesting that you say that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's a tinge of violence because it's hidden. There's a lot of hidden violence. And you have the surface. We have the pop culture representations of Boston, like Mystic River and The Departed, which is based on fact. There's a lot of seediness that happened. It's definitely gentrified in the past like 10, 15 years, but there still is an underbelly that is definitely part of my paranormal experience. So yeah, I mean the violence is beneath the surface and it's bubbling.
Hit me with the one story when you were forming this book. When you thought crime scenes, Boston, what was the one story you felt the need to tell in this book? What was the one that hit you automatically?
Well, to be honest, the 13 Most Haunted, I wrote a book last year called 13 Most Haunted in Massachusetts, and I did not put the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast #1. And I put the S.K. Pierce Victorian Mansion in Gardner as the most haunted, and I got a severe backlash. So in many ways, this book was a way to kind of segue to my true crime and also to put Lizzie Borden #1 on the list because I had, the backlash was just phenomenal. And so Lizzie Borden definitely, but the other stories that I felt didn't make it into my last book made it into this book, mainly because of the crime backstory to it.
What is it about the Lizzie Borden story that's so close to people's hearts there? What is it that people feel the affinity for?
When I was on here the last time with Dave, it's a whodunit. It's like a mystery. It's a murder mystery. It's a historic crime, but people really want to know who killed Lizzie Borden's parents, and I think that that's something that we'll never know. And we have reached out. There's paranormal investigators come in. They ask, who killed Abigail and Lizzie's father, and it's really interesting, and it's also a very haunted location. So when you have those two elements together, it is the most talked about probably house in New England when it comes to hauntings, and it probably maybe even the country.
Have you yourself gone out there, investigated, and asked?
Yeah, I'm a paranormal researcher, so I really rely heavily on people who do investigate. I'm very sensitive to the paranormal, so I'm very wary of that house. I don't get a good vibe when I walk in, so I don't spend a lot of time there. I rely heavily on people who do spend a lot of time there and get the research from them. But I have spent a lot of time in other places that are probably equally as haunted or maybe even more haunted.
Well, let's talk a little bit about those places and a little bit about the book. Give us an overall. Well, you know what? Let's go specific. Let's not go overall. Give me the second story that you felt that, other than Lizzie Borden, the most important story that you felt you needed to tell in this book about Boston.
Yeah, well, the last time that we chatted on the show, I was doing a job with the USS Salem, which is amazing piece of living history in Quincy. And it was number 8 on my list last year, and it moved up to number 2 based on my personal experiences on the vessel. And the difference between the ghosts on the USS Salem versus other crime scene locations is the ghosts were actually the ones who were committing the crimes. People were getting scratched. It was probably the most active location I've ever been a part of, and I was there every day for an entire month.
Really? So what kind of crimes are the ghosts committing other than just scratching? I mean, give us an idea of what they're doing.
Yeah, so can I give you a backstory? So the USS Salem really it never saw battle, but it became a hospital triage unit in 1953 in Greece. So there was a lot of bodies that were brought on to, as a hospital triage unit, and there was a lot of deaths. There was up to 400 people that died on the vessel, and they were kept on the vessel in what was called the butter room, which was their kind of makeshift morgue. Yeah, I mean, it's like every day there was something new. There was a new adventure. I felt like that there was a tension because we had a haunted attraction on a haunted location. So I feel like that the haunted attraction exacerbated the paranormal activity on the vessel. So, and also it was investigated by ghost hunters, and it's been investigated by tons of paranormal investigators. So I feel like whatever was on the vessel was stirred up, and they became aggressive towards patrons, towards employees, towards people that got close to the vessel. So it was a very antagonistic environment, and you could just feel the energy when you walked on.
So I'm curious, as someone who's sensitive, are you feeling? It's a good way to put this. Are you feeling heightened tensions more so than people are feeling it? In other words, are you like someone who's a little more sensitive to the bass in music than most? When you walk into a club, your ears are a little more sensitive than others. When you walk aboard the USS Salem, are you really feeling it more than others? Is it one of those things where you walk aboard and you go, oh, I just can't take it, and you got to walk off? Or is it something where everybody's kind of getting this vibe when they're walking on?
Well, I mean, it was across the board. We had about 100 employees, and pretty much everybody has a story that worked on the vessel that was paranormal related. You could argue that the people that were working on the vessel were more interested in this sort of stuff, like the paranormal, compared to other people. But I mean, not 100 people cannot be all empaths. So, yeah, I was definitely more sensitive. But the truth is, the women on the vessel had the most activity. So the spirits on USS Salem were going after the women for whatever reason, maybe because they were sailors or I don't know. I mean, but it was definitely geared toward the women. And the women, our paranormal investigator team were all female, and I purposely did that because the females had more of a stronger response than, say, male investigators. And the women ended up leaving early because of all the paranormal activity. Like we had Rachel Hoffman, who is a fantastic investigator. She believes in attachment. Every day there was something new. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we had thousands of people come on board, and some of them were disrespectful. So that disrespect translated to the spirits getting angry and going after people who are sensitive to the paranormal.
So I got a question for you, Sam. This is Katie. I was out there. I go to Boston every year. My best friend lives out there, and I know last year what I think it's called Ghost Harbor. Is that what it's called when it's a haunted attraction? Was shut down last year, and then they reopened this year. Was the reason it was shut down last year was that because of activity, or was it just shut down for just whatever reason?
Well, this is the first year that Ghost Ship Harbor, so that there was a sort of a small time haunted attraction on USS Salem for years. It was like a volunteer kind of a mom and pop kind of setup. And then this year we had Jason Egan from Ghost. He does Fright Dome in Las Vegas. And so he was the producer.
Okay.
And so it was actually shut down last year because there was a dock next to it that fell, and they said it was an unstable situation for where the vessel was docked, but truthfully it was the dock behind the USS Salem. So it was about safety.
Sure.
So we had a lot of issues. We had to be really careful this year with safety.
Yeah. I know they actually canceled the night that we were supposed to go because it was just raining, and they were afraid of everybody's safety. After those kids had just broken in, and they're all over the national news, did activity pick up after that? Yeah, I mean, it progressively got worse as the event went on. So Sure.
It's getting national news. Wow.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
When I started off, the thing is, what I didn't like about the paranormal, so it was a paranormal experience and not a paranormal investigation. So we had people who designed the room that were not paranormal people. So we had, for example, a Ouija board brought into the room. And I'm very much against Ouija boards. Like, it's like one of those things I'm like, I cannot believe I have a Ouija board at my job, you know?
Yeah.
And so things like that I felt were kind of disrespectful, and the Ouija board just really exacerbated what happened. And it was, one of the nights that it rained, which is right before the break-in. Actually, it was the Friday after the break-in.
Okay.
And, another thing is we didn't know as in the employees about the break-in until a week after. We heard about it on the news. So they all knew about it. They didn't let us know. And I'm like, that's something that I would like to know, especially as a manager, to make sure that my employees are safe. So, yeah, there was a lot of misinformation and a lot of issues regarding safety. Luckily, no one got hurt, but I did have a few, scratches and safety issues that came up because of it. It was not, in the rain, it was not a good idea to run that attraction.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you came to try to go, but I'm glad that you didn't go on because it really wasn't safe.
Yeah, we were supposed to do that exact same thing, that VIP whatever, exactly what you were running, and they canceled the whole thing. So we were sad because I only get to come out there once a year. So, well, good to know. I'm glad I didn't go and slip and fall to my doom.
Let's take our break right now here, Sam. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more about the USS Salem and a little bit more about the book itself. 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston is a book. It's available right now on Amazon.com. Sam Baltrusis is our guest. When we come back, more about crime scenes beyond Boston here on Darkness Radio, True Crime Tuesday.
Thanks.
See how it works. Just kind of wrapping up on the USS Salem. So you've got crimes that are being committed by ghosts. See, this is what's got me on this whole thing. How do you stop a ghost from committing a crime?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I felt so out of control. I mean, like, I felt like I was trying to keep everything together, keep everybody safe, and one thing happened after another. I mean, I had to walk a group of like 20 people through the haunted attraction and through my paranormal experience in the rain. The rain was like calf high. There was electrical outlets around. It was at some points when it rained especially extremely scary, not only from the paranormal but also from the electrical equipment, all the stuff going around it as well. So it was definitely something. I'm thinking about turning this whole experience into a book by itself, because it, like Ghost Ship Hell or something like that. I had so much happen. I mean, I say like the scene, when I was walking through the haunted attraction, when fake things were jumping out at me and the people on my tour, it felt like the finale of, a Poltergeist, the movie that when I was a kid. Like, it was like raining and just it was literally a nightmare, and very active at the same time. So I felt like there was nothing I can do. Everything I tried when it came to cleansing and keeping the spirits, as peaceful or feeling as respected as possible, it just got worse and worse. So I actually ended up not doing the final weekend because of that, because I couldn't keep it all together. Mm-hmm. And it was me and a group of extremely empathic people, and some of them didn't make it as well. Like, the ones who were the empaths couldn't make it the whole way through.
Wow.
Wow.
I will read that book, by the way.
Yeah, Ghost Ship Hell.
I will read it.
Ghost Ship Hell. It sounds like something that should star Samuel L. Jackson as the voice of reason. I don't know. I tell you what, let's dip back out again real quick. When we come back, the one thing that's always got Dave and I when we talk on the show is stories about colleges, and you actually have one about Harvard University. And when we were going to college in Winona, there were always ghost stories. There was always incidences on campus. I want to know what kind of crime stories you tied to Harvard University and ghosts as well. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Harvard University. Again, our guest is Sam Baltrusis. The story, or the book, is 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston. And when we come back, Harvard Yard and Harvard University, right here on True Crime Tuesday on Darkness Radio. Just a reminder, IWI at the Mounds Theater this weekend. Hollywood Forever is the name of the card. You can get your tickets at moundstheater.org. Discount general admission tickets and VIP tickets are available. All three titles are on the line. Hollywood Brian Sager's last match ever. He is the U.S. champion. He'll be defending against his tag team partner and best friend, because that's the way I wish it to be.
Because you are a supervillain.
Because I'm a supervillain. Yep. And also the IWI Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be taking place. IWI Hall of Famer Nick Mason will be Nick Mason, I can say that, will be hosting it. Again, discount general admission tickets and VIP tickets are available at moundstheater.org. Get your tickets right away. And also, Katie, you have a podcast that people can listen to. It's not just the occasional, hey, I'm dropping in and saying hi. Deal on here. People can hear you on a regular basis on your own podcast.
They can hear us weekly on our podcast called One Bizarre Podcast, and it's me and my best friend Blackie O.
That's the name?
That's her name. Yep.
Really?
That's her name. Yep. That's her handle.
Is she thinking about a name change by chance?
No, it's her handle. It's her handle.
All right.
And we talk about everything bizarre, from the paranormal to weird people to just random things that we find funny. So if you liked the Darkness Radio Crazy Friday Nights or the Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, that is pretty much our podcast.
All right.
It is silly, silly, silly pants. So One Bizarre Podcast. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn,
there you go.
all the biggies.
Be sure to look for it.
It's a silly time.
There you go. All right. Let's get back to our guest here. Sam Baltrusis is on the line. 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston, available on Amazon.com. And Sam, we teased it before the break. Harvard University, colleges have their own myths and legends. Of course, there's always stories about ghosts, and there's always stories about crimes that happen on campus. But when you combine the two, that can be pretty scary in itself. What legends are out there at Harvard University that people should be aware about that are in the book?
So before I get started, so the Blackie O, I love that, by the way. That was great, Katie.
Yes, it is. Yes, we are pretty silly.
I have to listen to Blackie O. But anyway, so yeah, getting back to Harvard. So actually, I ran a tour in Harvard Yard for about 4 years. It was my first tour. It was called Cambridge Haunts, and a lot of the what I do is I launch these tours basically to get information for books. So it's like a great way to, get out there and spend many days. I like to immerse myself into the ghost lore. So with Harvard specifically, there are so many stories. I mean, I say in the book that school spirits reflect school spirit. So the more school spirit or pride in your school you have, the more ghost stories you have. And with Harvard, Harvard has the biggest ego in America, so of course they have tons of ghost stories. And Memorial Hall is sort of like their Harry Potter dining hall, kind of like the Great Hall from Harry Potter. And I was able to go inside when I was giving my tour. One of my friends worked there, and it was absolutely amazing. Just you can feel the historic energy in the location. But for the crime scenes book, I focused specifically on, I kind of talked about several of the locations that are related to crimes. One is there was a Holden Chapel that served as a whole cadaver, so it kind of served as a morgue. So there were a lot of experiments done on human remains in that location, and they were buried in the basement. And there was also one location that was in 1878. There was a haunting that got national headlines, and it was kind of like the Amityville horror case back in 1878. And they never really figured out what was haunting the location, but it sounded like a residual haunting of a murder. And I talk a lot about that in the book.
A residual haunting of a murder, but they never figured out what it was.
Well, I mean, it's in the book, but so basically they did a seance, which was very common in the spiritualism movement in the 1800s, and they did replay what supposedly happened, which was a murder of a girl. Her name was Bertha, of all names to have, right? Bertha Hughes. And what's kind of weird about the name Bertha, though, there was a missing girl from that era that William James wrote about from New Hampshire. So there was an actual girl named Bertha that went missing when this happened, but they never were able to really to figure out whether or not it was actually the haunting was the reason. There was an actual crime to cause the haunting at that location. This is pre-DNA, pre-forensic evidence and stuff. So it was all conjecture. But I think in this situation, they did go in the basement and they did find bones, but they couldn't actually decide whether or not they were human bones or animal bones.
Ah, okay. So they couldn't link one up with the other.
There was actual physical evidence found there, but this is 1878, so you don't really know if this is more legend or actual. It was in the Globe, so there was some. It was kind of. Looking back on the information, it could have been potentially fabricated because of the era.
With rumors, and I don't know if you know this or not, Sam, but with rumors of different secret societies and stuff like that on campus in different Ivy League schools, are there rumors of hidden murders and things like that have come to light?
Yeah, I don't want to end up missing. Yeah,
come on, Sam! Take a chance. Life is short.
I refuse to talk about anything like secret societies, but yeah, that does exist, and there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of secrecy related to that university specifically. In fact, if you go to school at Harvard, you say I go to school in Cambridge, or I went to school in Cambridge. You don't say the actual H word. In fact, it's really like if you call your tour with the name of the school in the headline, they will go after you. So they're really strict about their brand and associations related to the brand. So I tend to shy away from Harvard. In fact, I don't give the tour there anymore because of that. So, well, let's just say this. There's a lot of mystery there, and there's a lot of things that I'm going to that I'm not going to talk about.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to be threatened, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I want to write many more books in the future, so including Joe Chappelle.
And you like your career right where it is.
Exactly.
Okay, so we should probably move on, is what you're saying. Well, then let's talk about jail, shall we? Since we won't talk about secret societies and other things, another institution that we hear about a lot about being haunted or even about killings or even bad things happening behind bars, it happens to be jail. I mean, you have a lot of inmates that happen to have dust-ups or they have beef between prisoners, and you tend to have the occasional stabbing or slaying or accident in the shower or whatever it may be. You have a chapter in the book about the Old Salem Jail. What incidents happened there?
Well, I also give tours in Salem too, so that is definitely a point of interest. It now is there. It's posh condos, which seems to be the trend in New England. If you have an extremely haunted location, including haunted jails, turn it into posh condos. They've also turned a lot of asylums into condos as well, which is insane. I would not want to live in a Danvers mental institution turned into a $3,000 a year condo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm moving into one next week.
Oh, great.
No,
That's perfect. It's just one of those things. I was so grateful because the company that owns my building that I live in, they're the ones who buy all the asylums and turn them into condos. So I'm grateful that the one that I live in is not an asylum turned condo.
It just seems insane.
But with that said, yeah. So getting back to Salem Jail, it was horrific conditions for many, many years. It was vacant because it was closed down because of the inhumane conditions. There was a lot of unsaid deaths going on. There was inmates stabbing each other. There was a lot of crushing going on too, which on the book that I'm working on for the future, there was a lot of mysterious, like floors collapsing and landing on prisoners and killing them from the weight of the floor landing on them. So there was a lot of deaths happening for things falling on top of prisoners in that jail. And what's interesting about that jail specifically, it's right next to the location where Giles Corey, one of the innocents who were accused of witchcraft in 1692, that's where he was pressed to death. So there's, of course, the local legend that the crushing of Giles Corey is somehow related to the crushing of all the people that died in that jail mysteriously. There's a lot of mysterious deaths in that jail.
Really? Yikes.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, there were like riots. There was all sorts of things how that happened there. And it was where Albert DeSalvo stayed. It was like, there's a lot of iconic, not serial killers, but like mobsters stayed there throughout the years.
Wow. And so it has its own nasty reputation, but on top of it, also a lot of paranormal behind it as well.
Yeah, the paranormal, the whole Giles Corey, because it's right next to a cemetery, so of course it's going to be haunted, right? But yeah, it was vacant for about 15 to 20 years. It was in limbo, so that it was a squatter's paradise. So there was a lot of people that would come in, and Salem would talk about how dangerous this location was for it to be a vacant location for squatters to be able to go inside, because people were dying, like homeless people were dying inside that structure. But then people from the outside would walk by and see mysterious things like, lights going through the building, maybe because there were squatters inside. But so there were tons of stories. That was like the haunted location for many, many years. And then of course it was turned into posh condos, and they turned a portion of the jail into a restaurant. And the restaurant it's been several different brands have taken over that location, and it doesn't work out for whatever reason, maybe because it's extremely haunted. Every restaurant that's been there has lasted about a year and a half, and they all report phenomena like, being touched on the back or seeing residual energy, or it's like a residual, like full body apparition, and people have reported extreme fluctuation in temperatures and all sorts of things at the restaurant. And the restaurant that's there now is called Bit Bar Salem. I haven't talked to the owners, but the last owners, when it was A&D, they said they had one paranormal experience after another at that restaurant.
Wow. All right. Well, let's take our final break of the hour. Sam Baltrusis is our guest. The book is 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston. Available right now on Amazon.com. When we come back, we'll finish up with Sam right here on True Crime Tuesday on Darkness Radio. This is our guest, and we're talking about the 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston. Sam, you have a hospital on the list here. You have Metropolitan State Hospital on the list.
Yeah.
What is it about Metropolitan State Hospital? What crimes are committed there?
Well, as I was alluding to earlier, there are a ton of asylums in New England that have been converted to condos, and Metropolitan State Hospital was one of the few holdouts. It was an insane asylum, and there was a horrific murder known as the It was known as the Hospital of Seven Teeth. There was a heinous murder involving 2 patients, one male patient brutally murdered a female patient and used her teeth as sociopathic souvenirs, kept them, and then buried pieces of her body all over the hospital's grounds.
Oh.
So it was a heinous murder. They say that American Horror Story Asylum was based on Met State. That's what they say locally, at least. And I wouldn't be surprised if you go to what still remains there. It's a sprawling campus of buildings and now condos, but it's very freaky. And it's people. The thing that people ask me the most about is Danvers, and I'm going to probably do something on Danvers in the future. But Met State I knew more about, and there was also that heinous murder that happened that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, by all means.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I
okay.
talked about it. Yeah.
I thought maybe there's another one you wanted to talk about.
No, that's why. No, there was only one murder,
and that was it. Huh?
But it was still horrible. But yeah, the Danvers they had a lot of inhumane activity towards patients. Obviously, there was like lobotomies and all sorts of things that probably left a psychic imprint. But there was no crime. But Met State, there was a crime.
Oh.
So a cheery state you got there, Sam. It's I don't know why I keep coming back to this in my head, but what is your fascination in that state with condos on top of grisly scenes?
I just could not imagine wanting to live in a extremely haunted location where there was like lobotomies and heinous murders at the location. It doesn't intrigue me. I wouldn't mind visiting it, but I don't want to live there.
I suppose, there's only so much real estate, and you have to do something with a plot of land. Once it's been abandoned, you have to recycle the land. You have to do something with it, but, land is precious. But at the same time, I know you have laws on the East Coast where, you have to make people aware that. Do you have that law, first of all? I shouldn't speak for Massachusetts, but do you have the law in the books where you have to let people know that it's haunted before they purchase?
Well, I think that I think in Massachusetts, I need to look that up because I think it's the thing in Massachusetts, they have to let you know that there was a murder committed on the property, which everyone knows. I mean, they know that's why people move into these locations because of the history. And I do find that I'm intrigued by the history as well. I just don't know if I want to live there. And so I've lived in places that were, historic Victorians that were haunted. That didn't bother me, but living at a place that was like a jail or an asylum would kind of freak me out, especially as a sensitive.
Yeah, I bet. Sam Baltrusis has been our guest. 13 Most Haunted Crime Scenes Beyond Boston is available now on Amazon.com. And Sam, I want to thank you for being with us tonight and throwing a little bit of the paranormal in on True Crime Tuesday. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And so a lot of the places that we talked about, I'm doing in a series of events. It's called 13 Most Haunted Revisited.
Oh, okay.
On my website, number13mosthaunted.com. You can find out more.
All right. By all means, check that out as well. When we come back, we're going to lighten it up a little bit. Dumb crimes, stupid criminals. And boy, have we got some stories for you folks. It's coming up in hour 3 here on the best in Paranormal Talk Radio and True Crime Tuesday, Darkness Radio. Of True Crime Tuesday here on Darkness Radio. Tim Dennis and Katie Hart with you.
Woo!
Katie, I got a little something special for people tonight.
Yay!
I do. We're going to do this at the bottom of the hour at 11:30.
What?
Yeah, I know. We're gonna do a little dumb crime, stupid criminals this hour.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do at the bottom of the hour, not now, but at the bottom of the hour,
okay, we
are gonna give away a pair of tickets for tomorrow night. I believe this is tomorrow night. Let me look. Jody Levon, the Happy Medium, is right here in the Twin Cities. And she has an event going on. Tomorrow's the 16th, right? Yeah. Today's the 15th. Tomorrow's the 16th.
Yes.
She has an event going on tomorrow night. It is at the Minnetonka Education Center.
Ooh, educational.
It is educational. From 6:45 to 9 p.m. And it's a wonderful event. And you can join Jody out there as well. I know you're like, well, Tim, what kind of an event? It's a speaking engagement. If I can get it out there. It's called
Holy cow.
It's called Instant Instincts.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she'll be she'll be doing a gallery style reading. So you can go out there and sit in the gallery reading. There's a little bit of a class involved as well. She'll be talking a little bit about your built-in psychic ability and be demonstrating, giving her psychic reading as well. These are normally a $78 value, folks, but you're getting them for free. You can sit in on that tomorrow night.
What?
We'll be giving away a pair of these tickets tomorrow night. So here's how this for tomorrow night in Minnetonka. Again, it's at the Minnetonka Education Center. So this is what we're going to do. Bottom of the hour, not now. Bottom of the hour, we're going to, right before the break, I'll tell you how you can call in and win. We're going to have Katie answer the phone.
God help us all.
She's very nervous about this, so take it easy on her. And we'll give you a set of instructions on what to do. We'll give you, the winner will get an email. That's how it's going to work, Katie. I'll give you the email to give to them.
Okay.
And they will email this email, and then you'll get your tickets.
So I'm going to give them the email?
Yeah, I guess that's how it works.
I'm going to give them like the super special, super secret adventure email?
Yeah, the super secret, super adventure email, and they'll be able to get their tickets.
Oh.
I don't know why we're doing it this way, but I guess that's how we're doing it.
Because it's super secret adventure.
Yeah, so it's a special deal from our friend, the Happy Medium, Jody Levon, who's awesome. She is absolutely awesome. If you've never seen her before, do a gallery reading or participated in her gallery readings, you absolutely need to. Of course, if you didn't catch Dave and Jody Levon on Twin Cities Live on Halloween doing their investigation of the St. James Hotel in Red Wing, you can check out Twin Cities Live's either Facebook page on Facebook or go to Dave's Facebook page. There's a video of them investigating the St. James Hotel in Red Wing. So you can check that out. That was a very cool investigation that they did together. But you can, you'll find out at the bottom of the hour. We'll promo it again, and you'll find out how you can check out Jody tomorrow night at the Minnetonka Education Center. Also a reminder, I'll just real quick, IWI, Mounds Theater, moundstheater.org. This weekend, Saturday, 6:45 is when doors open. 7:30 is when it starts. Family-friendly wrestling for the entire family. Be there.
Or be square.
Yeah, all three titles will be defended. Hollywood Brian Seger retires. It's his last match. He's our U.S. champion. He's got to face his best friend.
Tim, the supervillain. Terrifying Tim. I was going to say tantalizing Tim, but then I realized that wasn't like a supervillain name.
Ahead.
That was like,
bring it on.
Like your sexy name.
Well, yeah. Moundstheater.org for VIP tickets and discount general admission tickets. It's normally $12 for adults, $8 at the door, but you get $2 off by going online. So go ahead and do that. Dumb crime, stupid criminals.
Yes.
Oh, Katie. They're so dumb and they're so stupid.
Yay.
And we have so many of these stories. Let's get to it, shall we?
Let's do it.
A man's road rage victim turned out to be an undercover officer. Be careful what you wish for, I guess, when you get angry. Although some people have it coming. I'm going to admit it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going 50 in the left lane, folks, you got it coming.
I would agree.
You got it coming.
With that. Mm-hmm. Today, that happened to me. Literally today.
Did it?
Yep. Except they're going 30 in a 55.
Oh, you got it coming.
And I about lost my mind down on 13 in Savage.
Katie, guess what state we're going to?
I'm going to make a shot in the dark here and say it's Florida.
We're opening in Florida. Palm Beach Gardens, to be exact. Police say a South Florida man picked the wrong person to point a gun at. Yeah.
Wow.
During a road rage incident, an off-duty officer. Rule number 1, if you're going to road rage, a gun's probably a good way to do it. Rule number 2, you probably don't want to do it to Mr. Ossifer. The Palm Beach Post reports that 22-year-old Jack Michael Habercorn, That does sound like a man who probably needs to see some jail time. Pulled in front of an off-duty officer on Saturday and began braking hard.
Stop.
Mm-hmm. That's the way you get shot. The female Palm Beach Gardens officer told police she pulled alongside Habercorn and said, "Really? Really?" The unidentified officer told police Habercorn responded with expletives and pointed a gun at her.
That's literally how you're going to get pistol whipped right there.
Yep. She called the incident into dispatchers, and Habercorn sped off running a red light. According to a police report, Habercorn was arrested with a loaded .40 caliber pistol and illegal drugs in his possession.
Wow.
Yeah, good job, Mr. Habercorn. He is being held in lieu of $81,000 bail on suspicion of carrying a concealed weapon and other charges. Way to go, Florida. Way to lead us off.
Way to go.
Way to go, Jack.
You know what
Michael
else I noticed?
Habercorn.
Ohio has a lot of these kind of crazy stories, too.
They do.
They do.
They do.
It's like Florida, Ohio, and like Oregon. Like kind of all over the map.
Although we're not going far here for this next story. No. No, Katie, no. We're staying in Florida.
Oh, we're staying in Florida. I thought we were just going to cross the old border.
No. We're gonna dance like no one's watching.
Sweet.
Katie, we're gonna smuggle grapefruits like nobody's watching as well.
Wait, we're smuggling fruit?
Yep.
Sweet.
In our trousers.
Really?
A tutu wearing man breaks into a Tampa farmer's market. We go to Tampa, Florida, where a Hillsborough County detective, or detectives, plural, are searching for two men who burglarized the Tampa farmer's market early Tuesday morning. The sheriff's officers, they're all there. They all can't believe it. Believes one of the men may have still been dressed for Halloween. Maybe he's just comfortable in a tutu. Don't judge.
Yeah.
As he was wearing a tutu, a wig, and possibly a cheerleading costume. Don't judge.
I'm not.
The second man was wearing a hoodie with an image of an owl on the front.
It seems like if you don't want to get caught, like don't wear stuff that's really easily noticeable, like a tutu or a owl hoodie.
What's the big owl symbol there at Bohemian Grove for? What deity is that?
Artemis?
Not Artemis. No. It's hold on.
Athena?
No. I got to Google this now. Owl.
Everybody stop. We got to Google some
Bohemian
stuff.
Grove. Yeah, I did that. I stopped the entire show.
It's good. We do it all the time. We don't care.
I don't know. Somebody will, I'm sure, message me.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, you do that.
You
while I
read the story.
I was going to tell a meaningless joke, and anyway. So tutu, wig, cheerleading costume, hoodie with an image of an owl on the front. Deputies say around 1 a.m., the men broke the glass door to the farmer's market, which is located at 1718 Fletcher Avenue East in Tampa. Once inside, the two men ate fruit and drank soda, because why not? They had a little picnic.
I feel like that's what I'm going to do if I rob a place. I'm just going to get distracted fast. Oh, there's soda and candy.
What else are you going to do if you're at the farmer's market?
Hey, fruit is nature's candy, Tim.
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyone with information where deputies can find the men seen in the video is asked to call the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. I'll give you the number real quick, 813-247-8200. I know you can't wait. You can also leave an anonymous tip, because if you admit to seeing these people, you probably have too much time on your hands. And be eligible for a cash reward by calling Crime Stoppers. You can also go to crimestopperstb.com. I'm just telling you here, Katie, I'm going to watch the video real quick. I know it doesn't make for great radio, but I want to give you a blow-by-blow description here. Not that I'm saying that went on at the farmer's market.
Yes.
There's a man with the hoodie, and here's the guy trying to put a box over that's a 9-second video. There's the guy with here. You know what? There's someone calling in. Maybe they know the deity. Let's answer this live on air.
I have it right here, and I got it right, by the way.
Do you? Okay.
Yes.
Hello. Hey, who's this?
Hello?
Hi. Do you know the name of the deity?
It's Athena.
The owl?
Yeah, the owl.
Athena.
Yeah, Moloch.
It's what?
It's Moloch.
Moloch? All right, thanks.
Moloch. Yeah. Supposedly one of the Bushes has that nickname too.
Okay.
So.
All right. Appreciate it.
Well, here's what I have.
Okay.
Here's what I have. So, so their mascot is an owl symbolizing knowledge, which is why I came up with Athena, which is the goddess of knowledge, who always has an owl around
I
her.
didn't think it was Athena. I thought it was something else, though.
Well, Minerva is the equivalent to that.
But you know, Walter Cronkite is the voice of the owl.
You're a voice of an owl.
No. At Bohemian Grove, Walter Cronkite is the voice of the owl.
Oh, well.
They have a recording. They have a recording of the owl. I don't know, it like greets them or whatever, and it's the voice of Walter Cronkite.
Weird.
This is the weird stuff I learned from listening to Alex Jones. Everyone's like, Alex Jones, he's on the radio, and he's like, and the voice is Walter Cronkite.
This is the strangest thing.
Yeah, well, he is. Oh, you weren't talking about Alex Jones. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, just all of this is just so strange.
Well, I'll let you go down the rabbit hole
Well,
later.
there you go.
We're in the middle of Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. We move on.
We're in the...
I know, as we're talking about Alex Jones and Bohemian Grove. You know, I went up a canoe and I wet myself because I had to go to the bathroom. So sentencing has been delayed for a criminal. Not unusual, Katie. Not unusual at all. I'm trying to figure out where we're going with this one. It doesn't look like we are still in Florida anymore, Alice. We are somewhere in Drumbo. You know what? I love doing this. I love doing the Art Bell answer the phone deal. So you ready for this? Let's do this.
I'm ready.
Darkness Radio, you're on the air. Don't swear. Who's this?
Oh, this is Aaron again. You guys are killing me. It's Moloch. I'm not lying about it.
He's not a Pollock, sir. I don't know who it is. I'm sure Walter Cronkite was different.
M is in man.
No, I know.
O
Spell it.
is Oscar.
Yeah?
Yeah.
L?
Yeah.
And then...
Moloch.
No, I know.
Moloch?
But you're buying into the whole Alex Jones thing. I get it. The Moloch thing. But no. It's you both got it wrong. It's supposed to be.
Oh.
Are you thinking Magog?
No, not Magog.
I see.
No. I'm talking about the. No, the owl is symbolic of. And it's supposed to be a goddess, and I'm trying to remember the name of the goddess.
Well,
it's not Athena.
Knowledge and virtue.
Right, but it's not Athena. It's
Apollo.
not Apollo. Apollo's not a goddess unless he's going around in a tutu robbing the Tampa farmers market.
Wait a minute. The Bohemian Grove. Moloch is not an owl. I'm reading a blog, and they're yelling about how Moloch is not an owl.
Well, maybe that's what form they have him in, but it's supposed to be a like a symbol of.
But it's got Walter Cronkite's voice, you know.
Oh, it could be.
Well, it does. I'm telling you. That's what Alex Jones says. It speaks.
He went out there.
It looks like he's a bull. Like a.
Oh, don't introduce more animals.
Well,
we're just going down the. We're supposed to be reading Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals.
Well, now we're talking about Moloch. So.
Well, those guys are criminals too.
See?
So,
It's just a friendly gathering, sir. It's just.
where they play touch football.
Well, yeah. Don't we all play touch football from time to time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And dress up in wigs and do plays. I mean, I do. I don't know about you.
Prostitutes.
Oh no, let's not talk about prostitutes. I gotta let you go. You can't talk about prostitutes on the air. I gotta.
What just happened?
Prostitutes are a different part of the
But
show.
seriously, I was just reading about the whole Moloch thing, and it looks like it's like a bull / owl / shapeshifter / occulty kind of god situation.
This isn't the Alex Jones show.
I know. Okay, keep going with your crimes.
Okay, so sentencing's been delayed for a criminal. Not unusual
Okay.
that sentencing gets delayed for a criminal, but for this man, he's got a hobby.
Oh no.
This hobby is unusual to some, but for some, they're into it.
No.
Of course, I'm talking about a foot fetish.
Ah.
The sentencing of a man who has pleaded guilty. Oh God, this is disturbing. He's pled guilty to luring a child to satisfy a foot fetish that involved white gym socks that may run up against a new rule imposed by the Supreme Court of Canada against undue delays. This is happening in Canada, folks, right on the Texas border.
Ew.
I know. But all parties involved will have to wait for an assessment before knowing how to proceed. 38-year-old Ryan William Vance of Drumbo pleaded guilty in June. He was to be sentenced Tuesday in Superior Court of Justice, but his defense lawyer said an ordered psychosocial assessment has not been received. Neither the assistant Crown attorney nor the defense lawyer wanted to accept responsibility for delaying the case. A July decision by the Supreme Court said that provincial court trials must be completed within 18 to 30 months, depending on whether there's a preliminary inquiry. Vance's case already has passed that threshold. The defense said that the psychosocial assessment could reveal information about Vance's likelihood of reoffending or his chances of rehabilitation, which possibly would affect sentencing. It also could mean the defense would turn to a charter challenge on the length of time it's taken to get the case through courts. In 2012, Vance held computer conversations with a 13-year-old boy in which he offered, he offered to perform oral sex on the child.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He also offered to pay the boy and a second 13-year-old boy to let him massage their feet, instructing them to wear white socks, which they had worn for a couple of days. After the massages, he wanted to keep their socks. Justice John Harper said the assessment won't be ready until mid-November, but noted that Crown was fully prepared to proceed. He adjourned the matter to December 5th for sentencing. Harper said if the defense finds it necessary to bring a charter application, they will need to seek leave at that stage and file for an adjournment. I have people still messaging me about who this deity is. No, it's not ISIS. It's not. No, I don't mean like the no, Sean.
No, yes.
It's who's the one that's Lilith. That's who it is. It's Lilith that owl is supposed to represent.
Lilith?
Why
would it be Lilith?
Because that's what I saw on the special I was watching.
Oh. I really like your face when you're telling it. Like, you're just like, that's what it is, Katie.
Because that's what it is, Katie. That was on the BS crazy special I was watching.
I love those specials.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Tim,
what it was supposed to represent. It was supposed to represent Lilith.
Huh.
Not ISIS, not...
was it a special about the Bohemian Grove?
It's not Minerva either. What's that?
Was it a special about the Bohemian Grove? Okay.
Yeah, it was,
All right, great.
So there, it's settled.
Next story.
Wow, I almost want to save that one until later.
Is there a mini story?
There is an evil clown story.
Oh,
I want to save until after the break. No, it's actually it may be a redemption story.
Oh, good.
For this when we've been talking about evil clowns and everybody says, well, what happened to the evil clowns after the election? They're no longer around. Not true.
I have a whole theory about this, by the way.
Hit me with it. Well, you know what? We'll save it until after the break.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got a whole theory.
A whole theory.
I do.
Yes. Do you feed birds?
I don't, but my dad, who has a house, does.
And he can feed those birds because he has a house? Because he's rich enough to afford a house?
Well,
is that
no,
what you're saying?
I mean, there's no place to feed them where I live.
Well, you don't go to a park, feed them? You don't throw them a little seed?
I'm not like 94. It's not 18 dickety 2. I don't have like an old loaf of bread to like toss at ducks.
18 dickety 2? Is that what you said?
Yeah. You can't say the word 20 because the Germans stole it. So you have to say dickety.
Oh.
If anyone gets that reference, brava.
You've never been to McDonald's? Don't finish your fries and throw them an extra fry or two?
Sometimes. I mean, like, you know, at like cute little like resort towns where they tell you not to feed the birds. I think I just feed them out of spite, like Duluth, where they tell you not to feed the seagulls.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like seriously like the birds up there. It's terrifying.
How would you like to go to jail for that?
I really wouldn't.
Well, a council has taken a teenager to court for feeding McDonald's French fries to a pigeon.
That doesn't doesn't surprise me, though, because sometimes those things get aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Be aggressive.
Be aggressive. A teenager has been summoned to appear in court after she fed a McDonald's, it says here a chip, because it's an article from across the pond.
Got it.
To a pigeon. 19-year-old Lauren Page Smith was approached by a council worker to give a 25-pound fine for littering. She told the official that the pigeon had eaten the French fry, so there was no litter left. Yeah. However, she was still fined. She refused to pay the cash and now has received a letter summoning her to court on November 15th. She's so innocent in these pictures, too. She's showing off the fry container and holding a fry and then holds it out front.
Aww.
Yeah. She is said to be in breach of Section 87 of the Environmental Protection Act. Lauren said, I was feeding the seagulls and pigeons some of my lunch when a man who worked for the council came out of nowhere and told me I was littering. He asked me for details because he wanted me to pay a 25-pound fine. I asked him, are you serious? I was feeding the birds and they ate all of my chips. But the fine has escalated and now I'm being hauled into court.
Wow.
There's so much worse things going on in the world. I was only in Swansea because I was doing training for work. Swansea? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not from there.
They've got a decent soccer team.
Do they?
They do.
You watch that stuff?
I do.
Why?
I don't know.
Are you
It's
bored?
kind of fun.
You need a life?
I like soccer hooligans, really.
You need.
I like the crowd more than I think I like the game because they're nuts.
You need
It's
something.
awesome.
Need something to do. You need charity work.
No,
So you got nothing better to do?
I will fight you, sir.
Soccer? You don't have paint to dry or a lawn to mow or birds to feed?
No, I told you I don't have stale bread to feed birds.
I'll give you some. I'm sure there's some in the dumpster out back of Cub. I could probably get you some.
Read your story.
Okay. Swansea. That's a fancy name for a town. Mm-hmm. Lauren's fine has now escalated to £100, and she's expected at Swansea Magistrates Court on November 15th. Her grandfather, 66-year-old Lance Brewis, I believe I said that right,
You did.
said, it's madness. Lauren has never been in trouble in her life, and they're summoning her to court for feeding some birds. This is a complete waste of taxpayers' money. Anybody with an ounce of sense would realize that this is ridiculous. There's needles and syringes everywhere in parks, and they choose to fine a young girl for feeding a bird? What a job's worth, he said. What a job's worth.
I'm sure they're just making an example of the poor girl.
Tell me what the hell that means. What a job's worth. That's some sort of weird saying over there, isn't it? I don't know. Is that some sort of soccer saying they say after they kick a ball? They kick the ball and go, what a job's worth!
Where's my fish and chips?
Right. Lauren added, I can't believe I'm being penalized for doing a kind act. I thought it was a wind-up. And then a pitch. What the heck does that mean? I thought it was a wind-up.
What?
You speak their language.
A wind-up?
Yeah, I thought it was a wind-up.
I don't know what that means. I don't speak the language. I just go to the games and watch the craziness.
You like their hooligans.
Yeah, I like the hooligans, but I don't know the language.
Swansea Council has been approached for comment, but evidently they didn't make one for this story. So there you go.
Wow.
I tell you what, we'll take a break. When we come back, evil clowns get their comeuppance.
Katie's theories about clowns.
Yeah, that's coming up as well. A parrot in skeleton makeup stole a cart full of groceries from a Vancouver Safeway. More on that story. A man claiming to be a vampire attacks a grocery store employee. I think you see a pattern here. Oh. And a burglar breaks into a St. Pete apartment and steals cash and cooks and eats a pizza. Why not? I mean, you know, it's like he's at home. Much, much more coming up on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals here on True Crime Tuesday. Darkness. On the story first, Katie. Right. Let's first set the scene, shall we? I'm going to. It's our audio daily double.
Got it.
So first of all, we need a little bit of music because it is our audio daily double. I got to tell you, folks, evil clowns have their comeuppance coming. That's just the deal. And here's what happened: police arrested a woman they say kicked a karaoke DJ. Dressed as a clown in the face during a Halloween celebration at a Marietta, Georgia bar.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Na 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 na.
Rachel Glenna Fisher of Grayson was given a bond of $1,000 for a misdemeanor charge of simple battery. How simple could it be? She got all the way up there with her leg. I mean, gosh, I can't even bend over and touch my toes.
Stop.
I mean, she fully got up there and kicked him in the face.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's a solid kick.
that is. Way to go, girl.
Wow.
Officers responded to calls about a fight at Jimmy Mac's on 3205 Canton Road about 1:50 a.m. Saturday, according to an arrest warrant. The karaoke DJ told officers how he ended up getting a karate-type kick in the face. You go, girl.
Right in the face.
Yeah. He said many employees and customers were at the bar and wearing costumes for the Halloween celebration. The DJ was dressed up in the costume of an evil clown. He had it coming.
Jeez.
The DJ said he first interacted with Fisher earlier in the night with no problem, but he did notice that she was highly intoxicated. Evil clown costume, add liquor, equals karate kick to the face. The trouble started when one of the bar's employees came on stage to sing, and the DJ left the stage to mingle with the crowd. That's how it always starts, by the way. Never leave your station.
How dare you?
Generally, you pee in a cup or a mason jar when you're up there. Never leave the stage.
That's what the bottle's for.
That's right. That's when witnesses say Fisher got up on stage and watched the employee sing. When the DJ approached her, she pushed him and kicked him on the left side of his face with a karate-type kick. Atta girl. The DJ forced her to the ground, and she left soon after. Well, that's no fair. I mean, she got her...
in your face. Kicking right in your face. Sorry. I'm listening. Sorry.
Okay. You good? Okay. The employee who was singing on stage when Fisher got up there and two other witnesses corroborated what the DJ told officers. The warrant said Fisher was arrested near the plaza at Sandy Plains Road and Canton Road Connector Northeast. If you can point that out on a map without your GPS, well, you're better than 90% of us. She bonded out of jail later that day.
Jeez.
There you go. That's so congratulations to our hero of the week, Rachel Glenna Fisher, who's braver than probably 95% of us who wouldn't dare kick an evil clown in the face.
Wow.
All it took was a little bit of liquid courage, and you too can be Wonder Woman.
There it is.
Yeah. She's kind of hot, too. Not gonna
Well,
lie.
there you go.
Rachel Glenna Fisher, call me.
So, do you want to hear my theory about clowns?
Yes. What's your
Here's my
theory
quick
about
theory.
clowns?
Here we go. So, all of these creepy clowns randomly started appearing, right? You know what else just happens to be coming out relatively soon? A remake of Stephen King's It. And gee, what would be a really great viral marketing campaign than a bunch of creepy clowns sneaking around? And in fact, I know a bunch of broke college students that would probably go to jail for a couple of bucks to do this kind of thing. Talk about marketing. Even the fines wouldn't match how much money they would have to do for like marketing. You know what I mean? If this is like whatever, this would be the most brilliant marketing scheme ever. Because people are genuinely afraid of clowns now. That movie comes out, people are going to be genuinely afraid of it.
Why do you got to be in college to go to jail for a couple of bucks? I went to Liberty Tax Service and volunteered to get naked and paint myself green, be the Statue of Liberty, and hold my quote-unquote torch up for a couple of hours.
Why you gotta hate, Katie? Why you gotta hate? Yeah. I'm just saying, dumber things have been done for viral marketing, and this, it has crossed my mind more than one time. Throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
Well, we've heard that theory. I mean, that's not.
Have you?
Yeah, it's not a new one.
Huh.
But, yeah.
Well, good. Well, I thought I was smart, but whatever.
No, I'm not saying you're not.
Whatever, Tim.
You're smart.
It's fine.
It's just you're a little late to the party.
Great.
That's okay. But you know.
Okay.
That's okay. Right now, folks, we want to give away. We want to give you some passes. We want to because Dave loves you people. I don't, but Dave loves you people, and Jody Levon loves you people. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give away a pair of passes to Jody's event tomorrow night at the Minnetonka Learning Center. This is a pair of passes to her event there. She calls this the Instant Instincts is what it's called. It is tomorrow night from 6:45 to 9 p.m. at the Minnetonka Education Center. It includes gallery-style readings and a little bit of a workshop there, too, to teach you a little bit about your intuition. So we'll take caller number 4 right now, 651-989-5855. Caller number 4.
I'm answering the phone.
Yes. Katie's going to answer the phone while I read a couple of stories. So 651-989-5855. And Katie will give you your instructions on how to claim your tickets. So caller number 4 right now, 651-989-5855. I tell you what, we'll take our break right now. And when we come back, we've got stories about a pair in skeleton makeup that stole groceries. We've got a grocery theme going on here. A guy that breaks into a St. Pete apartment. Of course, we're going back to Florida, and cooks and eats a pizza. And we've got a bunch of food stories. We're going foodie when we come back on Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals here on Twin Cities News Talk and Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals right after this. Here on Darkness Radio, Tim Dennis and Katie Hart with you. Katie, tell them where they can find you on podcast.
Oh, yeah. You can find our podcast. It's One Bizarre Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, or wherever you listen to podcasts, SoundCloud. If you like the crazy Friday night shows that we used to do here, it's a lot like that.
You make it sound like we don't ever do crazy shows anymore.
Well, it was a lot crazier when I was here, being really crazy and making you guys be crazy.
Wow! You say that these old guys can't hang anymore? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
I'm saying that I probably brought the ship down to a
Wow! You're saying we can't get
crazy level?
Saying we can't get it done anymore? Is that what you're saying?
A crazier level of crazy, like this strange
That's what
level
you're saying,
of weird.
Huh? That's what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, but One Bizarre Podcast. Super silly pants.
And
it's a good time.
You do the show with Blackie from General Hospital, John Stamos. That's nice.
My co-host is my best friend of almost 23 years now, Blackie-O. And we discuss all things bizarre and weird and paranormal, and it's a good time.
All right.
It's a good time.
What's John Stamos up to since Full House?
I don't know.
Yogurt commercials?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Don't know? Okay. We should probably get back to this Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals thing. We go to Vancouver, Washington, where a pair in skeleton makeup stole a full cart of groceries at a Vancouver Safeway.
Wait a minute. Isn't Vancouver in Canada?
You would think.
Canada?
I'm pretty good at geometry, and I would say that I know for a fact that...
America the sequel?
Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, America the sequel. By the way, since we're talking Canada, when we both came in tonight, there's a big sheet here. I have it right here.
Yeah.
Right here. Wait, right here.
Oh yeah. This is exciting.
In my dirty, grubby hands, Tim Hortons is in Minnesota now.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Canada.
Yes.
For your donation of Tim Hortons.
Yes.
They're open at the Mall of America.
That is awesome.
There's a whole bunch of Tim Hortons coffee on a table outside of my studio.
It's probably cold.
It is, but who cares? We'll heat it up. I bet you they ate all the donuts KDWB Morning Show did.
Oh, I love those things. I haven't had one in a really long time.
50 guests today got a $25 Tim Hortons gift card and a 10-pack of Timbits. That's what I call mine, by the way, the Timbits.
Yeah.
Back to the story. A man and woman wearing skeleton makeup on their faces loaded up a shopping cart of groceries at a Vancouver Safeway in Washington and walked out without paying. Police said when an employee confronted the couple, the man pulled out a knife there, Katie.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
And waved it at the worker. Not like, bye-bye, but like, hey, you want to scrap? The crime occurred on October 30th at the Safeway store, just in time for Halloween on the 3700 block of Main Street. Police say a bag of dog food was among the items stolen by the pair. Well, if they were that desperate, then by gosh, they can have it. The Vancouver Police Department released surveillance images of the suspects and asked for the public's help in identifying them. Any information on the suspects of the skeleton makeup crew is asked to contact Officer Katie Endrenson.
I thought you were going to say my name.
No, not Katie Hart.
I'm a cool officer.
Are you an officer in Vancouver, Washington?
Maybe. You don't know my life.
Wow. I don't know you. I don't know you. I guess I don't. Gosh. A man claiming to be a vampire attacked a grocery store employee. We're on a theme here. We call it a theme, folks. We go to Concord, New Hampshire, where a New Hampshire man is under arrest after allegedly assaulting a grocery store employee early on Tuesday morning. Police say a female employee was taking boxes out to the dumpster when a man approached her asking if she needed help. The man, whom police identify as 21-year-old Jacob May, then allegedly claimed he was a vampire, began running towards her. People need help. Police say...
I'm going to do that to you next time I see you.
I'm probably going to give you one of those clown kicks to the face. I'm not going to lie.
Down she goes.
That'll stop your vampire cold. Just saying.
Yep.
Police say May followed her as she ran inside the store yelling for help. The female told police May yelled, "Just touch me, I can save you." If I could tell you how many times I yelled that on a date, that's my line right there.
There you go.
Yeah. May allegedly wrapped his arms around her when she fell to the ground. Police say May then attacked another employee who tried to fight him off. I don't think she'd embrace him. Police arrived a short time later. May allegedly told a responding officer that he was a vampire ghost rider, Captain Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean, Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid, and a leader of the band. Oh, he quoted Fogelberg. Oh, yeah,
you darn
baby.
kids and your rock and roll and your Dan Fogelberg.
Fogelberg always leads to vampirism. That's what they told me as a kid. Stay away from that Fogelberg. He leads to vampirism. Police identified May as a suspect from a home invasion that occurred 2 days prior. It's probably where he got the Fogelberg album from.
It's got to be it.
Police say in both incidents, May was likely under the influence of either drugs or alcohol. Go figure. May is due in court on Tuesday, is being held without bail. You ought to see this cat. He's got a piercing right through the top of his nose, a barbell piercing.
Ouchie pants.
Yeah.
Ow.
And he kind of looks like Bruce Springsteen's special son.
Oh, wow.
He does.
Wow.
I'm just trying to put it in a way that we can all keep it palatable.
Wow. An ouch. Pierce. Ow.
Yeah, he's pierced right between the eyes.
Ouch.
Like that barbell sits right.
Yeah,
I'm putting it in a Chicago accent.
Ouch.
That barbell sits right about there, right between the eyes.
Ouch, 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 ouch.
Yeah,
ouch.
he's a special vampire.
And I have plenty of piercings and tattoos and
right between the eyes.
Yikes.
He's a special one.
Yeah.
We go to St. Petersburg, Florida. Yes, we've gone full circle. We've come back to Florida.
We've come back.
A St. Petersburg man is behind bars after he reportedly broke into a St. Pete apartment, stole cash, and cooked and ate a pizza while inside.
All right.
Because everybody gets hungry during a robbery.
I'm hungry right now.
According to the affidavit, St. Pete police say Antoine David, 31 years old, allegedly broke into a locked apartment at 450 Fifth Avenue North sometime between October 17th and October 18th. He took his time with it. Oh, yeah. Like making love, Katie. You got to take time with that robbery.
Oh, God.
Just saying.
Uh-huh.
Police say David forced entry into the residence, and once inside, he took $35 cash along with some food. He reportedly cooked himself a pizza inside the victim's microwave and ate it. Well, maybe he was in a little bit of a hurry. Police found David's fingerprints on the pizza box and in several locations throughout the apartment. Probably should have ate the pizza after he robbed the joint. The victim and the suspect do not know each other personally. David's being held at the Pinellas County Jail on $10,000 bond.
Wow.
Trying to decide. We only have a couple of minutes here. Which story I should go with here? You know what? Let's continue with the food theme and stay in Florida. A Florida man stole a gumball machine from a Winter Haven restaurant.
What?
Of all the things you can steal, we go to Winter Haven, Florida. Police are seeking information about a Florida man who was seen on video stealing a gumball machine from a local restaurant, because who doesn't want one in their house?
I tell you.
Winter Haven Police Department shared surveillance footage from the restaurant as he spoke with an employee before lifting the gumball machine and carrying it out through the front door. The man told employees of the Sakura restaurant. There we go.
There it is.
Third time's a charm. In Winter Haven, he had to take the machine outside to be serviced. I bet he did. When he loaded it into an unknown vehicle and drove it away.
Wow.
The racing-themed gumball machine was black with red stripes, and along with its contents was valued at about $800. Police are seeking anyone with information about the man seen in the video of the November 4th theft, or someone who has recently acquired a gumball machine matching the description to contact police.
Wow.
Just carried it out and put it in his van.
Hey, he might even look like he just kind of belongs there. Like, oh, maybe he's taking it in for a service.
I would, maybe.
That's like something where you're like, should I say something? Because he kind of looks like he knows what he's doing.
I would think this next story would be a Florida story, but it is not.
Oh.
And I'm going to try to get through it in the next 30 seconds or so, but I may not.
Go, Tim, go.
Here we go.
Go.
We go to Rochester Hills, where a family called the police after finding a large buck that had been shot in their backyard. Tammy and Mark Trudeau tell WDIV-TV that before police or the Department of Natural Resources officials could arrive, a man driving a Nissan SUV drove through their yard and scooped the deer up in their subdivision near Avon and Old Perch Roads. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office confirmed the incident over the phone Thursday morning, November 10th, but said they have turned the incident over to the DNR. Captain Michael Johnson, or the Sheriff's Office Rochester Hills Post, said that while there are several bordering communities that allow deer hunting, it still obviously is not deer or rifle season. The Sheriff's Office has not identified the suspect, but the man driving a 2000 to 2004 blue Nissan Xterra with spoke wheels drove through the backyard anyways to retrieve the deer.
Dang.
That's just weird.
Well, there you go.
And that's where we leave it. We will see you again tomorrow night for the best in paranormal talk radio, Darkness Radio. Katie, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Always glad to be back.
And again, stay tuned. George Norrie, Coast to Coast AM is